college football. We'll do local college football 11:30. We'll have Greg Cattuso in studio. Albany football coach home this week. Finally, after 2 road games, Monmouth comes to town out of the Big South. 7:00 kickoff on ESPN3. I'll have the play-by-play call along with Brian Mariano. It'll also be simulcast on Rewind 105.7 on the radio side. And then you go top 25 this weekend, Little Clemson at Louisville, and that'll be ESPN Game Day. Love that show. We love Marty Smith, and we were so anxious to get him on the program. He will be at that game on Saturday, and Marty joins us here on Big Board Sports on 104.5 at Team ESPN Radio. Marty, Roger Weiland, Chris Honorado, good morning.
How y'all doing, boys? Appreciate you guys having me this morning.
Hey, man, appreciate you coming on. I'm a Penn Stater, just so you know. And
hey, man, they're back, baby. They're back.
James Franklin's comments were kind of interesting after the Pitt
game. How did you guys take those comments? Did you consider them to be backhanded?
Marty, I think that was a stare you in the eyes front slap. That wasn't even backhanded, right?
Yeah, man. It was interesting, man, because he's a really composed guy, and I think it spoke to several levels. I think it was, hey, we know that we're a really good football team, and we have very lofty aspirations here, and this is another win. And it was also certainly a shot at Pitt.
Which, that's a long-time rivalry. I mean, I have no problem with it. I don't like Pitt. I went to Penn State, and back in my day, that was a huge rivalry. I don't know if it's as big as it used to be, but it's still a big rivalry. I had no issues with James Franklin. I loved it, and they put a whipping on Pitt. Were you surprised that Oklahoma put a whipping on Ohio State at the shoe?
I can't say that surprise is the right word. I had Clemson Saturday night as well against Auburn. So I was really focused on that, really dialed in and tuned into that. And then when that game ended, I had a bunch of buddies at the game as well. One of them had a suite, and I went up there and saw those guys for a couple minutes, and they had that game on. And I was like, okay, because look, Ohio State has a tremendous defense. They do. They have one of the best front sevens in the country. Their secondary is a bit suspect, but their front seven is really, really strong. And so, I guess that would be the level of surprise I had, that they hung that many points on him. But I think Baker, I love Baker. I love him. I love how he plays. I love his moxie. I love his irreverence. He issued the apology. I didn't think that was necessary, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I understand why he did it, and I think Lincoln Riley probably was glad he did it. I don't know whether Lincoln told him to do it or not, but very possibly. That's what I love about college football. And, Baker felt like, hey, man, they sung their alma mater on our field and they kicked our butt. So, by God, eye for an eye. And, look, man, Oklahoma's really good. I'm not surprised they beat Ohio State. I am surprised they beat them so soundly.
Marty Smith with us here on 104.5 The Team ESPN Radio. Marty, Chris Honorado with you here as well with Roger. And Marty Smith's America. If you haven't checked it out yet, it's on ESPN. There have been a couple of episodes. Episode 3 coming up October 5th. You've gotten to do some really cool things through that program. But college football specifically, you've had an opportunity to interview some of the titans of that sport and across sports. Shouldn't even just limit it to college football. When you started an interview with who, you were the most nervous. So, if I put a blank in that sentence, who fills that blank?
The most nervous. I'm not trying to be cool here. I'm not. It's been a long time since I was nervous. A long time. Honestly, I'm not trying to sit here and be all Johnny Cool for school. But it's really been a long time. I think a lot of people expected me to have some nerves about Cristiano Ronaldo.
Mm-hmm.
When we went over to China to interview him in June, I will say this: his fame is really something to behold. And you could sense when I first entered the room, we got to China about 36 hours before Cristiano and his guys did, because we like to go around and my little team and I, there's only 5 of us, we like to go around and really capture the essence from a video perspective of what the city, country, area in which we're doing the work is. We call them sense of place essays, and we start every one of our pieces that way. I'll write like a 20-second vignette about Shanghai or about the Great Wall of China or about Birmingham, Alabama in our last show where we hosted our last show with Sam Hunt, the country star. On and on. Anyway, as I walked into the room to interview Cristiano for the first time, I will be perfectly honest with you guys. Everybody was tight. I mean, real tight, like super, super tight. And I was like, what the hell is going on in here? Like, are y'all expecting, like, the president or something? And he came in, and he was a very gracious person, and I shook his hand, and it was a legit, fellas. I mean, legit 108 degrees in Shanghai that day. Oof. Hottest day on record in 145 years. And we were going to do the interview on this veranda overlooking Shanghai's downtown at the Peninsula Hotel. He walks out, and I'm like, brother, it's too damn hot out here. We're not, hell this, we're going inside. And he starts laughing. Like, I think he probably wasn't used to an old country boy being like, all right, man, forget this, we're going inside. And he appreciated being treated like a dude, you know? So I've been around plenty of guys. You know, a lot of people are really nervous around Coach Saban. A lot of people are really nervous around Jim Harbaugh. But they've all treated me with such respect that I did not have those same nerves.
We're talking with Marty Smith, college football, ESPN, love it. And we're going to love this one this week, right? Clemson at Louisville. How good of a game should that be?
It's going to be an awesome game, and there's a lot of reasons for that. Look, Clemson has the best defense in the country, in my opinion. They're stacked. I mean, they're loaded, and they have so much depth. And what we saw the other night against Auburn blew my mind. I mean, 11 sacks, 14 tackles for loss. Like, man, that is just gnarly. And, you know, they're the defending national champion, of course. And then you have the Heisman Trophy winner on the other side of the football who, if you watched his games, you watched Lamar play against North Carolina. I don't know if you guys did up there, but we watched it very closely down here in the Carolinas. He has progressed tremendously as a passer. And, you know, to run for 3 touchdowns, to throw for 3 touchdowns, and just put up, he has more than 1,000 yards in 2 games. It's just, it's like watching a video game, boys. And I can't wait to see him and Coach Petrino, who does such a great job offensively, match up against Coach Sweeney in that defense, and to continue to watch the maturation of Kelly Bryant behind center for Clemson. I felt like it was palpable against Auburn last week. Kelly got knocked out of the game for a series, and when he came back in, he was a different player. It was like he had to get that contact and have that first real slobber knocker to get back in there and be like, all right, man, I got this. And you could feel for the rest of the game his confidence escalate. And so it's going to be a tremendous game, 8 o'clock on our network. And I'm so blessed, fortunate to be a part of it. I love it. I got the best job in the world, man.
You have a darn good one. I can tell you that. College football is just the best in my mind. Who's your top 5, Marty? Who will be your top 5 teams?
So, I'll make you guys laugh. Everybody asks me every weekend, man, who you picking? I'm like, right. I don't pick. They pay Herbie and Dez and Pollock all that millions of dollars to make those picks. But I will tell you that I think Clemson is very good. I think USC is going to be very, very good. I think Alabama is just – I had Alabama in week 1 against FSU, and God bless, they're good. It's amazing to see. I think Michigan is very, very good. And, you know, there's a couple of other teams in there. I think Penn State. No, I'm not kissing your rear end. I think Penn State's very good. I love McSorley. That kid's tougher than woodpecker lips, and, man, he can sling it. And I think they're going to be, and Barkley very well could be the best player in college football. So they got it going on. Man, how good is the Big Ten? Good God.
Yeah,
it's a good league, man.
People ask me, how good is Penn State? I said, well, we'll find out. And I don't know who goes first, but they go back-to-back weeks coming up here sometime in the near future where Penn State will play Michigan and Ohio State back-to-back.
And look, one of those is difficult. They're both going to be they're both going to be really, really hungry throughout the rest. You know, it'll be interesting to see with Ohio State. Okay, what are they going to do with JT now? What are they going to do with JT Barrett? How are they going to look at what they saw against Oklahoma and adjust? And I love to see his teammates. I love to see JT's teammates come to his defense. But what's been one of the number one narratives this week throughout college football? Should it be JT Barrett? I don't think that's fair, honestly. I love the kid. And they do, though. They do. You know, Kevin Wilson and his group, the offensive coordinator up there in Columbus, really need to figure out the best way to be effective. because they haven't figured that out yet. And if Ohio State's going to meet its potential, and I love Michigan, even though they have a little bit of a quarterback thing going on too, with Spate and O'Korn and those guys. I went to Rome with those guys in April. They're a special group of people, and they love them some Harbaugh. They lay on the tracks for that man. So I think he's got it going up there in Ann Arbor too.
Marty Smith's America. You can find it on ESPN. The third installment, right, Marty? Third installment,
yes,
October 5th on ESPN. I share your red hair, and so I know we can be a fiery, passionate people, but I'm wondering, I don't know you personally. I'm just taking a stab here. Your act on TV is not an act, that you are all energy. So are you double espresso? Are you 5-hour energy? Are you Jaeger? I mean, what gets you going?
I lost my parents by the time I was 29. Every single day is a blessing. And it's not an act. Dude, I grew up on a beef cattle farm in the middle of nowhere in Virginia, and I get to talk about college football for a living. I have 3 healthy children and the greatest wife in the world. Look, I don't, anybody who disparages the passion that I have for life, that's their insecurity, not mine. And I'm all in all day, man. It's the only way I know. And like I was with my friends the other night at that Clemson game, and it was midnight, and I was exhausted, and I was still this fired up. It just doesn't, I mean, you know, my poor wife, I don't know how she puts up with my crap.
Well, listen.
And I'm serious. I'm not kidding you. Like, everything's perspective driven, right? Everything in this life is contextual, and my life's context has shown me how fragile all of this is. And I take every single day, and I appreciate it. None of it's ever for granted. That's just the way I'm living. I'm trying to teach my kids that. Well, y'all got kids? Good Lord. It ain't easy.
Yeah. I got a lot of them.
I don't, so no gray hairs yet.
I got a lot of them. I heard that. Me too.
I heard a lot of them. A lot of them. All good, though, Marty. It's all good. Trust me. And my parents actually are in town visiting. They're both ready to turn 80, doing well.
Awesome.
My dad loves Penn State. Can't wait to meet the UAlbany football coach today, Greg Gattuso, who's in his 4th year here, Marty, at UAlbany, and he played at Penn State, was on Joe Paterno's first national championship team back in 1981.
That's fantastic.
So,
you know, it's funny. I know y'all probably got it, or hitting a break. I'll shut up, but I want to say this.
We'll go past our noon end slot. That's fine.
The sweetest memories I have in my life, other than my children and my wife, are the times I got to spend with my father in the furthest reaches of the West Grandstands in Blacksburg, Virginia, at Lane Stadium, Worsham Field at Virginia Tech. Because I got to have like a fountain Coke. Like, we didn't have a whole lot when I was a kid. So when my old man woke me up on Saturday morning and said, "Boy, get dressed, we're going to run over the mountain," I knew, oh my God, we're going to go see Virginia Tech. That was our protein. That's all we had.
Yeah.
And
good stuff.
It was really bad football when I was 10 years old and Frank Beamer was getting started. You're talking about 1-9, 2-8 every year. But God, it was magical to get to watch Major Harris. Sorry, West Virginia reference. Sorry about that. To get to watch Major Harris come into Blacksburg and play the Hokies and sit there with my daddy and just like feel like I was a part of him and his life and be that close with him. It just don't get, like, that's why I care so much about this, because that's what college football is. And that's what sport is in its purest form. It's tradition, and it's families and fathers and sons and fellowship and community. And hell no, it's not an act.
As good as advertised. That's about all I can say, Marty. We really, when I saw that Chris was able to get you on the show, I said, wow, we both said, wow, phenomenal guest opportunity here with Marty Smith. And I hope we can do it again sometime down the road, man.
Yes, sir. Hey, I appreciate you guys having me, and say hey to Coach for me. I appreciate y'all.
Safe travels,
Thank you, Marty. Appreciate it.